begins with the wind, not the soft kind that rustles leaves in a quiet garden, but a dry, restless wind that scours the skin and tastes faintly of dust and salt. Out here in the Judean desert, the air seems older than time itself. The sun leans low in the sky, throwing long, jagged shadows across a barren plateau that rises like an island from the sea of stone. Its cliffs are sheer, its summit flat, and its silence complete. This is Masada, a fortress carved by men, yet claimed by legend. From below, it seems almost impossible, a sheer-sided mountain crowned by ancient walls, as if the gods themselves placed it here to defy intruders. But Masada's story is no myth. It is blood and stone, faith and fire, hope and despair, etched deep into the soul of a people. Long before the siege that would make it famous, Masada was already a place of power. Built in the 1st century BCE by King Herod the Great. Yes, that Herod, the one remembered for both grandeur and cruelty. It was a palace fortress designed to be untouchable. Herod spared no expense. On the northern tip of the plateau, he built a lavish palace cascading over 3 rock terraces, each one a marvel of engineering. There were colonnaded halls and mosaic floors, storerooms stuffed with wine and grain, cisterns cut deep into the rock to hold precious water. He even built Roman-style bathhouses here, heated and scented, so that even in the heart of the desert, he could bathe in luxury. Herod's mind was as much about survival as spectacle. He feared both enemies and allies, perhaps with good reason. Masada was his ultimate insurance, a place to flee if the world turned against him, high enough and fortified enough to outlast any siege. It was, in every sense, a fortress fit for a king. Yet history had other plans. Herod died. Rome tightened its grip over Judea. And decades later, in 66 CE, rebellion ignited. The First Jewish-Roman War swept across the land, a storm of revolt and reprisal. Jerusalem became a battleground, the great temple burned, and the legions showed no mercy. Those who could fled, some to the hills, some to the caves, and a band of zealots to Masada. They were called the Sicaria, named for the curved daggers they carried. Fierce, uncompromising, and utterly devoted to the cause of Jewish independence, they took Masada in a daring raid, overpowering the Roman garrison stationed there. From that moment, this lonely plateau became the last redoubt of the rebellion. For years they held it, harrying Roman supply lines, striking where they could, and watching the empire's grip tighten around Judea. But Rome's patience was eternal. In 73 CE, the governor Flavius Silva marched with the 10th Legion, determined to finish what had begun in Jerusalem. Imagine it, the Romans encamping at the base of the plateau, their tents in neat, disciplined rows, their siege engines looming like skeletal beasts. They built a wall all the way around Masada, 7 miles of encirclement, cutting off every escape. And then they began the work for which they were feared, the construction of the assault ramp. It is hard to grasp the audacity of what they did here. From the western side, where the cliffs are steep but not utterly sheer, they piled rock and earth day after day under the searing desert sun until a massive ramp took shape, wide enough for siege towers, strong enough to bear the weight of Rome's wrath. The defenders could do little but watch. From atop the walls, the Sicarii saw the ramp creep higher. They hurled down stones, arrows, burning torches, but the Romans were relentless. Finally, the siege towers rolled forward, their great rams pounding at the gates. The fortress shuddered. The defenders knew it would not hold. And here the story takes the turn that has haunted the world for nearly 2,000 years. According to the historian Josephus, who claimed to have learned it from survivors, the defenders of Masada, men, women, and children alike, chose death over slavery. That night, they gathered in the shadow of the walls and listened to their leader, Eleazar ben Yair, speak. He reminded them of their faith, of the price of freedom, and of the cruelty they would face if captured. Better, he said, to meet death on their own terms, to be free in their final breath rather than live as Rome's property. They set fire to their stores, leaving nothing for the enemy. Then, in a grim, methodical process, the men killed their own families to spare them from slavery, and the men in turn fell to one another's blades until the last survivors took their own lives. When the Romans breached the walls the next morning, silence greeted them. Smoke drifted from the ruins. The defenders lay still. Masada had fallen, but in a way no Roman could claim as victory. For centuries, this account stood as one of the most powerful and most tragic episodes of resistance in human history. It became a symbol of defiance, of sacrifice, of the unbreakable will to be free. In modern Israel, Masada is remembered with the phrase, "Masada shall not fall again." Soldiers swear oaths on its heights. Tourists climb its trails at dawn to watch the sun rise over the Dead Sea, painting the world gold. And yet, like all great stories, it leaves us with questions. Archaeology has confirmed much. The walls, the palaces, the Roman camps, even the siege ramp itself, still scarred into the mountain's flank. Excavations in the 1960s uncovered storehouses, pottery, coins, and the remains of Roman weapons. They even found human bones, scattered and charred, but far fewer than the 960 dead described by Josephus. Could the numbers have been exaggerated? Could the story itself have been shaped to serve a narrative? Some scholars point out that Josephus was writing for a Roman audience and may have framed the Sicaries' end as both dramatic and as a cautionary tale against rebellion. Others suggest the siege may have ended with a mix of deaths and captures, with the mass suicide more legend than fact. And yet, standing on the plateau, it is hard not to feel the weight of what happened here, whatever the exact truth. The wind still whispers over the ruins, the ramp still rises from the desert floor, the stones still bear the blackened marks of fire. And whether the defenders all died by their own hands or not, their stand at Masada remains one of history's most enduring testaments to the human hunger for freedom. In the end, Masada is more than a story of war. It is a mirror. It forces us to ask, what is freedom worth? What price would we pay for it? And in the face of overwhelming force, is defiance a victory in itself? When the sun sets over Masada, the cliffs glow like embers, and the Dead Sea far below turns silver under the moon. The desert becomes a dark ocean, the fortress an island once more. Somewhere in that vast silence, perhaps, the voices of Masada's last defenders still linger, not as cries of despair, but as a quiet, unyielding refusal to bow. Thank you for walking this path into the past with me, across the ramparts, into the chambers of kings and rebels, and into the heart of a mystery that still stirs the soul. What do you think truly happened on that final night at Masada? Was it as Josephus told it, a mass act of defiance, or something more complex, lost to the desert winds? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, please like, comment, and share. It truly helps keep these stories alive.